Greetings, gacha fanatics, gacha haters, and people who know about gacha games unwillingly and have mixed feelings about the whole concept. It's a whale-eat dolphin world out there, and together we're going to dive right in. This is Soulmates Gone Fishin', your survival guide to gacha jank and gacha brilliance. I am not Ivy Fox, who is presently recovering from surgery. Nevertheless, you can send her your well wishes at Ivy Fox Art on co-host, and go listen to her horror fiction podcast, The Mad Bird, on your podcast app of choice. Joining you instead is Ash. That's me. You can find me by swimming into the waters of the abysso-pelagic zone and just kind of rooting around in there. You'll find me eventually. Not on social media, though. That is a fool's errand, except for the show's social media, which is Soul-Mates-Podcast on co-host, which I run. You can use the co-host asks feature to, tell me your favorite bird. You can also find me and drop me a few bucks at ko-fi.com/asherlark, and you can support the show at ko-fi.com/ivyfoxart, which covers our hosting costs and also maybe buys Ivy a little treat. Our theme is by Svenjos Electronicos, who you can find on Bandcamp, and our cover art is by Rygarden, who you can find on Instagram. On this miniseries, we're taking a turn away from visual analysis of gacha games to instead focus on the experience of playing a gacha game. In service of this, each week I'm going to pick up a new gacha game and record for you a daily log of my observations from good to bad to ugly. This week's game is Fate Grand Order by Type Moon and Aniplex Inc., which is described on the App Store as a new mobile, quote, Fate RPG. With an impressive main scenario and multiple character quests, the game features millions of words of original story, packed with content that both fans of the Fate franchise and newcomers will be able to enjoy. I sure hope so. So it is day one of Ash playing Fate Grand Order, and I have made a series of notes. I'd also like to say, before I start with the solo recording of this podcast in earnest, that I thought my joke at the beginning was kind of funny about a whale-eat dolphin. It's a joke about gacha terminology. A whale is someone who spends a lot of money on gacha games, and a dolphin is a free-to-play player. And I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that before we started. This is also why it's called Gone Fishin'. Please be proud of me. I'm also producing and editing this whole thing on my own, so that Ivy will be proud of me. And so, please be proud of me. Send me how proud of me you are, using the co-host asks feature. So I have a list of 4 games that I'm gonna go through, over the next couple weeks, and I decided to start with this one because I thought it was an appropriate continuation of where we ended the actual podcast, in between, when we're going to record next, which is to say, it's about Fate, baby. I briefly played Fate Grand Order a long time ago, and I don't remember a lot about it except that it was extremely overwhelming. And after taking a dip into it today, I can say that my recollection of it was largely correct. However, I weirdly understand the game better now because of watching Fate Khalid Liner Prisma Star Ilya Licked the Nameless Girl, and I can't decide whether I am obsessed with this or whether I just kind of hate it. I have a bunch of notes. I have my note after those first two things I wanted to say, which is that I've played this game before and that the movie helped me out, is just a list of words that they said during the story segment today. So I started today playing the prologue, and I've made it to, I think, what is essentially 1-5 of the story. The way that I'm going through this is sort of neurotically, as I do all things. I am playing the main story, and I'm also trying to clean up every, free quest that you leave behind. After you finish the story quest in an area, and move on to the next area, there becomes a free quest in that area that you can do, but you can just repeat infinitely. But if you clear it once, you get the first clear rewards, and also it takes the little notification that tells you have quests to do off of the main menu, and I love clearing the notification off of the main menu, so I'm doing that. And so I've done several quests, but I've only made it to 1-5 of the main story, and I have a list of words that they've said which make complete sense to me. Also, there's no voice acting in the, main story of this game, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of this right, which it would be in Japanese anyway, but, I imagine that they would say these words, as I'm supposed to pronounce them, but they don't, because there's no voice acting in the main part of this game, which is weird. It's so weird. So we have Chaldea, Chaldeas, which is of course legally distinct, Noble Phantasm, Spiritron Dive, Ray Shift, the mages who are in the Klein coffins, the Near Future Observation Lens Sheba, Trismegistus, Counterforce, and Bolt. As far as I can tell what each of these means, Chaldea is the research facility. So we wake up, and it's like, hello. It's me, Mash, your favorite character who you're gonna have as your friend through this whole game. I noticed you sleeping on the floor. And you're sleeping on the floor of the Chaldea Research Facility, which I'm pronouncing like Paldea from Pokemon, because that's all I can summon in my mind to pronounce it like. And it turns out this is the exposition in this game. I'm going to be interrupting myself a lot, because I have no co-commentator to stop me. So I'm going to be much like Fate Grand Order, because the exposition gets interrupted over and over. And I'm like, I just want to know what's going on. And they're like, there's no time. Or, that's boring. And then they just skip it. And they're like, now you understand. And I'm like, no, I don't. I counted this happening 4 times over the course of the, 2.5 hours I played. And the not very many story segments I played, which is an insane amount. But the Chaldea Research Facility is or a research facility? I don't know what to call it. It's an organization that is trying to preserve the future of humanity, because they can see 100 years into the future, sort of whether or not humans are extinct or not, by looking at the planet Chaldeas, which they have. And spoiler alert, humanity is going to go extinct in the year 2018, according to Chaldea. It's currently 2017. The year is 2017, and we have collected all possible candidates capable of Spiritron dives. Extremely normal. Also in 2018, we will die. And then they, collect recruits. You're one of these recruits who have the potential to become masters of servants. Masters are a kind of mage. Servants are the typical Fate thing where there's, a heroic spirit. A heroic spirit being a mythological or historical person who can fight for you in battle. And they also have a noble phantasm, which is their, big, their ult. I still don't know what a Spiritron Dive is. I know that ray shifting is time travel. because I learned this about how Fate Grand Order works by listening to one of the previous Gacha World Tour episodes, the World Flipper one with Tam, because Tam has played FGO, and was like, in FGO you time travel around and all the chapters happen in different time periods, and I was like, of course, doesn't know that. So ray shifting is time travel. It's how you get from one time period to another. I don't know what the mages... I don't know anything about mages, and I don't know anything about Klein coffins. They let you ray shift, hypothetically, but we didn't get in one in order to ray shift because there was a disaster at the facility, and then we just got ray shifted because we were the only people around who could ray shift. We, meaning the director, whose name I have already forgotten and didn't write down. Oh my god. The director, who is sort of annoying, Mash, who I am not endeared to, and also her name is Mash, and you, the player. The near-future observation lens Shiba is, I mean, obviously self-explanatory, but it's the thing that they use to determine whether or not humans are gonna be extinct soon. I don't know what Trismegistus is. I think it was like the Spiritron potentiality whatever. I didn't write it down, I just wrote down Trismegistus. And I have no idea what counterforce or bolt are. Those are just things that the director said. And I was like, for sure. But there's a disaster in the facility. You, the new recruit, fell asleep during orientation, and so you got sent back to your room and didn't get to go along on the first mission. But this is actually good, because everybody in the coffins who was, like, meant to go along on the mission didn't get to ray shift, and you went in to try and save people, and then you did get to ray shift. And so then you're stuck in a singularity in rural Japan in 2004. Fuyuki, I think. And apparently a singularity is like something in history that has changed, and that thing which has changed is probably what made it so that humanity is now going to go extinct in 2018. RIP. I hope that the scheme of Fate Grand Order succeeded, so I can confirm that I'm not already extinct. But apparently there was a Holy Grail war, things you'll recognize if you've listened to the best episode that we ever recorded. The Fate Khalid Liner Prisma Star Ilya Leaked the Nameless Girl Watch-Along episode. Don't kill yourself, semicolon, sludge. There was a Holy Grail war in Fuyuki in 2004, and the way that it happened in the real world was like, yeah, they summoned 7 heroic spirits, and whatever master won, got the Holy Grail, but nobody knew about this in the real world. It just kind of ended peacefully, but when we travel back to the Singularity with MASH and the director, now, what's changed is that everything is burning. So clearly something has gone very wrong. MASH doesn't have the potential to become a master, so only we were able to shift, and also she was dying at the time because of the disaster. But we took her hand, and she fused with one of the heroic spirits that Chaldea, the organization, had already summoned, and became a demi-servant, which is to say a human being fused with a heroic spirit. This is normal. So then she changed outfits from her unflattering researcher outfit to a very bad servant outfit, which I hate very much. It's like, this isn't a visual analysis podcast right now, but you can look up MASH, and I'll put, a link to the FGO wiki in the show notes, I'm sure. I don't like it. She has so much boobs and so much skin, and it's so bad. I am sorry, I have the App Store description like open next to me beside my notes because I was reading it for the intro, and it says that Chaldea has confirmed that human history will be eliminated at 2019. No, it's 2018. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, other notes. I chose the female character skin for my own character because it is 900% better looking than the male skin. Sorry. And then I also set my name as Ash, naturally, so now I'm Ash and Mash, which is just kind of fun. Combat in this game, which is the thing I actually wanted to talk about, is... I've described it to myself as like Limbus Company, but much simpler. And what I want to say is like Limbus Company, but worse, but I'm biased. So, like Limbus Company, but much simpler, which is that you have 3 characters in your team, and every turn, they generate 5, I'm calling them skill cards, they're attacks, whatever. And those attacks can be either Buster type, Quick type, or Arts type. And they can have any of your 3 characters on them. You might not get an attack from one of your characters on a turn, or you might not get a Buster type, you might not get a Quick type, whatever. Totally random. And then attacking, you pick 3 of those cards in order to attack. You get a bonus if it's all of the same type. You get a bonus if it's 3 different types. You get a extra attack if it's all 3 of the same character. And attacking will also fill up your Noble Phantasm gauge, and when your Noble Phantasm gauge is full, you get to do your ult. And that's the basic way that battle goes. I kind of like this, which is why I am not saying it's Limbus Company, but worse. It's, I've figured out sort of the general... I'm in the Limbus Company color matching phase of this game, where I'm like, well, I would like to have a bonus go off every turn. So I'm going for either, like, all the same color, 3 different colors, or all the same character. But I'm not going for all the same character that much, because of a little detail, which is that if there are multiple enemies, you can select which one to target first. But if you have the same character attack multiple times in a row, no matter whether or not they have already done enough damage to defeat the enemy, they will continue attacking the same enemy. Whereas if you switch to another character, that enemy will die and they will have to change targets. So if you want to, like, get maximum turn efficiency, you need to change units that are attacking during a turn. Like, if you have 3 different attackers and you're confident that they can dispatch, each of the 3 enemies in one attack, then you'll be able to dispatch all 3 of them at once. But if you were to just set one character to attack 3 times, then they would only attack, the one you set to target, and the other 2 would still be left. Which is very, very odd. But I'm understanding it, I've comprehended it, I've gotten it in my brain. And it's pretty fun to, like, go through that little pattern. The thing that frustrates me about this, and maybe this will change, we have a week to live with this. But the thing that frustrates me about this is that you have to set a team of 3 characters. And of those 3 characters, one of them has to be a support character. As far as I can tell, there is no way to not set up support character, and there's no way to just use one of your own characters in that slot. And this will shock you, but all of the, like, support characters that they suggest for you, in this, like, little menu that you have to go through every single time you start a battle, are, like, so overleveled. They're all, like, level 100. And I am a baby. I am at the beginning of Fate Grand Order. I do not want to be using level 100 characters. I would rather not. It makes me, like, I don't enjoy cheesing through these fights. I really want to do them earnestly, even though I'm gonna be overleveled for a while, because they keep handing me things so that I don't struggle. I would rather do them with, like, closer to on-level units instead of just having one guy who can totally obliterate everything. But I don't have that choice, so I haven't gotten to engage with the complexities of this battle system very much, because every battle ends in, 1 to 3 turns. I just made it to, the last thing I did before I stopped and went to record this, was I got to the first, boss fight that they give you, in which you have to fight another servant instead of just a bunch of monsters. And that fight was over in 1 turn, because my support character attacked, and then they were just dead. Not my favorite thing that's ever happened, but, I guess if you want to go through the beginning of this faster because you're full of sludge and you don't really care about this game as a game, I mean, not to cast aspersions, but then I guess you'll have a good time. But I don't love it. What other notes do I have? Chaldea is described as, quote, an underground workshop built on a snowy mountain 6,000 meters above sea level, which is, I wrote down, doing as much as possible. It's underground. It's on a mountain. The mountain is 6,000 meters above sea level. And this is just fascinating to me. You meet a couple people in the prologue. You meet Mash, you meet Dr. Roman, who I actually like, the only character I've met so far that I actually like, and then you meet this guy whose name, again, I've already forgotten because I didn't write it down, who is, the director's favorite person, and he's got weird hair, and then he dies 20 minutes after you meet him. So, whoops. It was 1 hour into playing that the director says the title and says, this is a grand order. I love the part in Fate Grand Order where they're like, it's a grand order, and then they fate all over everything. Fate is also what they call the system by which you summon heroic spirits, which I guess makes sense because that's the through line through all of these Fate shows. But Fate is very scary. And then to briefly touch on the art of this game, just on a first impression, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like looking at MASH. I like looking at Dr. Roman. I don't like looking at either of the other characters that they've introduced to me. I did my gacha pulls, which we'll get to in a second, and most of them, I did not like the art. It's not just Fate stuff where it's just way, way more fan servicey than I have the stomach for. It's just the visual style and everything looks off kilter. They just have very Hananomiya style, unbalanced bodies and faces that look tilted in the wrong ways, and I don't enjoy it. But the one piece of art in this game that I do like, that they show you right at the beginning, is Foe, who is, quote, a privileged life form and also, quote, a squirrel. He's a little white animal companion, who they haven't explained really at any point so far. And that thing, I love that thing. That's maybe I'm just a furry. But the texture and the eyes look really great, and I just really like it. I want to cuddle it, I want to touch it. And I don't know why. I guess the problem is that they're drawing a bunch of humans, and so they don't get to draw little animals enough. The other notes I had... there's a little daily quests menu, obviously, like they always have in these gacha games, and every time you go into that menu, and every time you click anything in that menu, MASH gives you a voice line, and it genuinely gives me a headache. She talks so much. They have the Fate Khalid liner girls in this game. I used Kuro as a support unit just a little bit ago, and that was alarming. the degree to which all the games I'm going to be playing for this are for a mobile device. And my iPhone is fine, but it does not like to run. I could not run, say, Genshin Impact on it. So far, the degree to which this game makes my phone heat up is it hasn't crashed yet. It never crashed at any point, which is very impressive. It just lags a lot and also makes my phone scorching hot. And then the localization, or maybe just the way that the dialogue is written in this game, is equally kind of insane to me. A couple of lines from MASH that I really, really like include, I don't really know how I became part of Organization Chaldea. I just snuck in there even though I didn't know anything. Like an alligator. And then the player character confidently responds, like, yeah, alligators don't know anything. And it's like, what do you mean? Maybe this is a Japanese expression, I just don't know it. And then we ask Mash at one point, like, how are you handling the transition to becoming a demi-servant? And she says, it's hard to explain. Imagine yourself becoming a fighter jet. And so, I guess, imagine yourself becoming a fighter jet. And then last bits for today's observation log. We'll come back tomorrow, and then I'll record a little more tomorrow. I did a couple of summons. The speed at which you accumulate gacha currency in this game is abysmally slow. I kept expecting, like, oh, when I get 10 crystals, I can do a pull. And then I went and looked, and it was 30. Every pull costs 3, which is very strange, considering you get, like, 1 per quest that you do. One per story stage, that you do. It's very odd. So I was able to do, like, 3-ish pulls today. And the characters I got were Furbus MacRoish, who is completely inoffensive to me, Henry Jekyll and Hyde, who I actually quite like, even though that's just a normal-looking twink boy, Gaius Julius Caesar, who I don't wish to speak about because his existence is a giant fat joke. I think his name in the menus was like Assassin of Shibuya, but he's just Assassin, and he's a 4-star who won't tell you what his name is. Assassin is a class, so I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Uriel? Who's an archer? Inoffensive to me. Boudica? Extremely offensive to me. I do not like to look at her. Heracles, who I recognize from Fate Khalid Liner, that's a 4-star berserker, who I actually like a lot, because that is a big gray man who does nothing but go rawr instead of speaking to you, and that's great. Ushiwakamaru? No. Nitocris? Maybe yes. That's a 4-star caster who I think is the default character you're supposed to get during your first pull. No idea. She's fine. She's fine. I like her attacks because she, all of them have, like, sort of a hieroglyphics come to life thing going on, and so you get some extremely silly looking guys attacking for her, and that's very fun. And then other miscellaneous ones I got from summons, Eric Bloodaxe, on the nose name, absolutely no feelings about. Medusa, kind of cool looking, but only because she has a little, like, eye mask, because Gorgon turns people to stone. And then Mephistopheles, who I am required to like because it's Mephistopheles, and I am weirdly fond of his vibe, even though he's, like, an evil clown. So that's all that I've done today. enjoying myself despite the fact that I think that this game is kind of garbage so far. And I'll be back to record a shorter segment that has less to do with explaining the entire overview of this game tomorrow. Day 1, out. Welcome back to Gone Fishin'. It is day 2 of Fate Grand Order. And today I spent most of my day doing boring daily quests. Why did I do this? Because I need to cover more than one aspect of the video game for this whole thing. And I have notes. I thought I would have very few notes, but I had actually a pretty similar amount of notes as I had last time. This is a possible indication of a longer, episode than is necessarily manageable for me, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The first thing I wrote down today was that it feels weird to be like, okay, time to go to work, and it's logging into Fate Grand Order. I was like talking to my boyfriend, and I was like, okay, sorry, I need to go do something, and what I needed to do was play 3 hours of Fate Grand Order. But the actual things I did today, so I found this out yesterday, but you do get a free 10 pull every day, which is good, because I was planning to save my currency so I could pull at least once a day. The problem with the free 10 pull is that it's a friend summon, which is just sort of a very bad banner. And it's almost all... What you can get from the gacha, which I didn't really cover last time, is you can get EXP material, so like stuff you can give to your guys to level them up. You can get craft essences, which are like... if you've played Honkai Star Rail, they're like light cones. Some of them are like basic concepts, other ones have illustrations on them. If you get multiple of the same one, you can combine them and raise the level cap on them. And you just like attach them to your characters to give them stat buffs. There's very few characters in the Friend Summon, and if you do get one, it's probably a 1-star or a 2-star. This is one of the only gacha games I've played that has, like, legitimate 1-star pulls. Normally when I play gacha games, it's like you go from 3-star to 5-star, or maybe, like, for Limbus Company, all of the 1-stars are base characters, and you start with all of them. This is also true of Project Sekai, where there's just, like, you have basic... I don't think you can pull them in the gacha, though. I don't remember. It's been a minute. I need to get back to Project Sekai, but I'm busy doing this project. So it's not good, but I did get a couple things from my friend summons today. You also get friend summons using your friend points. You get friend points by using other people's support characters, like I talked about last time. If you're already friends with them, you get lots of points, and if you're not, you get a couple points. And also, as I discovered today, if you have a special guest character who's available for that story episode, you get 200 points, which is the price of 1 pull on this banner, so it's a pretty good value. In my friend summons today, I got Bartholomew Roberts, Hans Christian Andersen, which I was very surprised by, because Hans Christian Andersen is apparently a little boy, a little blue-haired boy with the voice of a man. Jason of Argonauts fame, and then Assassin Sasaki Kojiro. I was able to do my first Ascensions today, which was exciting. If you get a character to the level cap, just like in a lot of other gacha games, you can then use some materials to make their level cap go higher, and it also will, hopefully give them some like stat buffs, and then also a visual glow up. And the first Ascension I did was Sasaki Kojiro, and I did his Ascension, and I was like, yes, let's go. How was his visual going to change? And he just got, like, some smoke behind him, and his vest turned from purple to pink. And it was like, wow, that was underwhelming. But I also did Jason and Bartholomew. All of these are 1-stars, by the way. So the level cap was 20, and so I just leveled them from 1 to 20. But Jason gets some little wings on his head and also on his back, which are actually adorable in rules, and Bartholomew gets a hat. I also, when pulling for this was like, sometimes I pull people and I'm like, I don't know what historical figure this is. And then they have a little intro that comes up after you pull them. And they're like, well, time to go back to doing pirate things. And I'm like, okay, so you're a pirate. Great. I also did Story Summon, using some free summon tickets that I got as a daily gift. And I got Darius the Third and a guy whose name I can't pronounce, Gila Derai? Gilles. But not to be confused with another guy who I think is also named Gila. I don't know. I fought a guy in one of the daily quests who was called Gila, and I don't think it's the same guy. Because this guy is, like, a youth, and that guy was, like, old. Which historical figures are low grade seems entirely arbitrary, and it's, like, really funny to me. Because, Jason is a 1-star. Jason of Greek myth is a 1-star, and it's like, well, fuck him, I guess. Oh yeah, I'm yet to pull, of all of the character classes that there are, there's like, I can't name them all off the top of my head, I think, but there's sabers and archers and lancers and casters and berserkers and assassins and a couple more, I think, that I'm not remembering right now. But I haven't pulled any lancers, which is very annoying, because you get EXP materials that work best, or maybe only work on, I don't really know, on certain classes, and so you get like assassin only EXP and berserker only EXP, and I have so much Lancer experience and just like nowhere to put it. I don't have a single one of those guys. It is languishing. The daily quests are fine. They're not super engaging, but I don't find the combat in this game extremely engaging anyway. It's mostly just sort of like color matching fun. But they do give pretty good rewards. There were like, it's also the 7th anniversary celebration right now, which means that the way that the game works is a little different than normal. Normally it's like, there's a couple of daily quests and they rotate based on what day it is. So on Monday you get like the archer/caster EXP materials or whatever, and it just rotates. But since the 7th anniversary, I think it ends tomorrow, but all of the quests are available to me at once, which is great because I spent 2 hours on them. And so there was like the level 5 version and the level 15 version, and then it goes up and up from there, but my guys are just a little bit below level 25, so I didn't go up to the next level yet of daily quests. And they gave pretty good rewards. If I did more of them, I probably could have gone up to the level 25, but I just wanted to do every single one of them once. This doesn't give me any kind of reward, but it does give me a little light up thing that says I can do it infinitely now, and that just kind of satisfies me personally. And then for the last hour, I went back through the main story again. And I got access to an NPC servant for the first time, which was great, because it actually made me change some of my thoughts about the support mechanic, which I found extremely annoying last time, because it forced me to use level 100 characters on these level 5 fights. But with the NPC as your support character, because it'll make you, well, it won't make you, but it will allow you to use an NPC as a support character instead of using an actual overleveled person's character. I should have looked up how to pronounce Cuchulain before I started this, and now it's maybe too late, but I'm going to do it anyway. Cuchulain pronunciation. Well, can you just tell me? Cuchulain. Cuchulain. Well, I'm calling him Cuchulain, sorry. I don't like it. But we got him. He showed up. He was the first actual heroic spirit that we met in the story. And it was very, very funny because, he shows up and it's like, the game is like, look, an NPC! You should click on him immediately! And he's lower level than the guys that I'm using already. He's level 18 and my guys are like level 22. So, but I appreciate I much, much prefer using an on-level character who is, like, actually supposed to be there, and them using this mechanic to, like, get it so that you can use characters who are canonically with you in the party, but they don't have to, like, give them to you forever, just in case they, like, run off or whatever. I have no idea whether or not we're gonna get to keep Cuchulainn forever. Cuchulainn. He just, he said, like, let's make a temporary contract and you'll get to command me for a little while, and I'm like, okay. And so I genuinely don't know what'll happen next, it's kind of nice. It's very, very funny because Cuchulainn is my friend Felix's least favorite Fate character. Of the, like, in my ongoing review of the art in this game, side review, Soulmates normal style, I think I like him. I like the way he looks. He's got sort of, like, a smarmy energy in the game, which is translated accurately into his art, and I'm quite fond of it. They do call him an old pervert, which is sort of a bad look, but, what can you do? It's fate. But my buddy hates him because he's an actual, like, huge mythology and history buff. And he's like, I just want to... Every time I look up Cuchulainn, it's this guy. And I don't want it to be this guy. And that's extremely fair. This happens with Gilgamesh as well, and it's like, I know your pain, actually, because that guy is in the very end of Fate Khalid Liner Prisma Ilya Lakes the Nameless Girl. There's also... Okay, last couple notes. When you get each character's super, their noble phantasm, I discovered today, because I was, playing with Cuchulainn a lot, that there's more than one voice line associated with each of those, which is actually really cool. It just randomly selects one of maybe 2 voice lines to do when you activate the power, and I just kind of like that because it gives us some variety. I don't know a lot of other games that do stuff like... I mean, I know Limbus Company doesn't. There's just one voice line, and it shows up on screen. They also do a pretty good job with, like, in-battle captioning. Not everything is captioned, but, like, when you select an attack, the little line that they say is captioned, everything on the Noble Phantasms is captioned. Like, it's actually pretty nice. They do a pretty good job. Considering that there's so little voice acting in the main story of this game, I appreciate that they make an effort to, like, make sure I know what's going on when they actually do voice act things, which is only in menus. This also happens when you level up characters or ascend them and stuff. You also get the little captions for their voice lines there. The main story started taking us, like, back through previous areas, which I really enjoy. It means there's not a new free quest that shows up whenever you finish an area, because you're going back through previous areas and you've already done their free quest. It's kind of nice. Slows down my personal little neurotic progress a little bit less. And then it also has, like, just sort of a good feeling of, like, progression. Like, an actual sense that you're moving through a map in a sensible way and not just sort of going through nodes that correspond to 1, 2, 3. It is interesting, I didn't note this before, I didn't even put this in my notes, but the story quests that you do disappear after you do them, which is really interesting. I haven't seen that a lot. And I guess this is because they have the free quests and also the daily quests and stuff that, like, if you need to grind, you shouldn't do the actual story again. And then I believe they also have in, like, the menu story rewatch. But most games, I feel like, don't do this where, like, the actual story quests go away. So it's really, really interesting to me. I kind of like it. It's, there's just, it's hard to get confused. It clearly indicates where you're supposed to go next all the time. Also, right after I ended for the day, I noticed that my path had branched into, like, an area that didn't have, a new area that didn't have a main quest marker in it, and a new area that did have a main quest marker in it, which is exciting, because I love side quests. Cuchulainn's class was a caster. They mentioned this earlier in the story that, like, heroic spirits will go by their class name instead of their actual name in order to, like, preserve their true names so that you can't learn their weakness. And so Cuchulainn is just called Castor here, except for in battle when you can clearly see that his name is Cuchulainn. Which is very strange. Like, guy who, famous historical mythological spear bearer, is here a caster. And they do actually acknowledge this in the story, where they're like, he's fighting against the other, the one remaining heroic spirit in this Holy Grail war, who is Saber, and Saber is weak to lance in, actual fights. So he's like, man, if I got summoned as a lancer, I could have done a lot more. And then they explain, like, oh, you must be one of the heroic spirits who can be summoned in multiple classes, because you're, have great powers or whatever. So that's kind of interesting. I don't dislike, his sort of aesthetic as a caster, and I do like the sort of, narrative thing that they've done in making sure that, like, the elemental weaknesses of this game, scare quotes, elemental weaknesses, the class, weaknesses of this game, match up with the way that the story is going. It's kind of pleasing. And then my last note for today was on reasons that I imagine this game is popular. I've been complimentary of it today, kind of just because I don't want to, like, rag on it constantly, but I still don't like it. It's not, like, the most engaging thing in the world. The story is extremely, like, the writing is very, very awkward. It has its good moments, but it's very awkward. And then, I imagine that there's a lot of gacha games, honestly, that do this multiple artists thing. Mahjong Soul does. I can think of a couple others that do. But I'm used to having, like, the games that I enjoy have sort of a unified aesthetic. And so all of these different artists, drawing art that I sometimes just don't like to look at is just, like, not sort of where I like to be. In terms of visuals. Everything just looks very cheap. But reasons why I imagine this game is one of the most popular gacha games out there is that it probably has a pretty big PvP scene. I can't confirm this, but a lot of popular gacha games have player versus player. I remember when Limbus Company came out, people were saying, like, man, when are they going to add the PvP? And I hate gacha games that have PvP, because it will kill your game balance forever. And so I don't know that this game has PvP, but it would not surprise me if it did. But the other reason is because it's, like, surprisingly well optimized, even for my phone that's, like, running out of storage. There's a lot... It has never crashed, still. And everything is sort of timed in such a way that if it lags out, it doesn't, like, break any animations or any voice lines. I had it lag out a lot when I was doing Cuchulainn's, Noble Phantasm, and, like, sometimes he would read the entire voice line and it would show up on screen, but the animation wouldn't start playing yet, and it wouldn't break anything. The animation would just start playing afterwards without the voice line, like, synced to it. Which is very, very nice. There's also, like, if my phone lags out when I'm doing summons and, a character has, like, their little intro that they need to read, it'll wait until, like, the line is broken up into several parts, so that it'll wait until it can, like, load the caption on my screen before they start reading more. And it's actually extremely thoughtful, considering how poorly optimized and, like, bloated and difficult to run a lot of gacha games are. So I appreciate, that it doesn't crash my phone and that it is extremely playable even with its performance issues. So, weirdly complimentary day. I almost got enough, I don't remember what the currency is called now, Saint Prisms? I almost got enough currency to do another proper 10 pull, but I didn't. I think I have like 27 out of 30 necessary prisms. And then also you can spend the prisms to, like, revive your party if you die, I found out today from a tooltip, which is just, like, insulting, because they give you so few of those. And, like, it costs like $1 to get like 3. These are not exact numbers. I don't have it pulled up right now, and I did not write it down. Don't shoot me. But surprisingly complimentary day, except for the problems that I still have with this whole game. But nothing happened that was like extremely offensive to me. So a positive outlook. That's day 2 of Fate Grand Order, and I'll see you tomorrow to record day 3. See you then.
おっと、今回はキャスターでの限界ときたか。ああ、あんたらか。前にあったな。
Hello, it's day 3 of Fate Grand Order on the Soulmates Gone Fishin miniseries. The first thing I did today, I play the same amount of Fate Grand Order every day, but I played it spread across a long period of time today, so the things that happened at, 1 are distant memories to me now. But the first thing I did today was I got my daily gifts, and my daily gifts pushed me just over so that I could do my proper 30 Saint Quartz full real 10 pull, which is very exciting. So I got a bunch of characters from my pulls today. I got Musashibo Benkei, Leonidas the First, Spartacus, Chengong, Asterios, Matahari, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Charles Babbage, Lubu Fengjian, Medea, Billy the Kid, Xuanzang Sanzang, Romulus, and Zhang Jue. I know Pinyin, and I'm doing a really bad job at pronouncing these Chinese names anyway, because I don't feel like pulling up my Pinyin guide. But I did pull a 5-star for the first time, which was very exciting, and made me pull up the Fate Grand Order tier list, just to see. So Xuanzang Sanzang, is my first 5-star, and the tier list said that is an A tier, not top tier, but still very good, good offensive caster, and so I'm quite pleased with that as a result. Asterios is also a standout from this one, just because it's Asterios, like the Minotaur, but I've never seen it written as Asterios with an O, so that's very odd. I don't dislike it, it's just very, very strange. And my favorite pull from this one, honestly, there's some very good ones. Charles Babbage is a big old, steam machine, and that's kind of cool. Mozart is crazy looking. I can't decide if I really like it or I really don't. But Leonidas is actually my favorite that I pulled today, which is strange because he's like a 1-star, I think. Just the art style on him is so much better than a bunch of the others. He looks like he blends into the card background really well. I just really like it. I did some Ascensions of the new 1-stars that I got, which was kind of fun. Spartacus's Ascension gives him more clothes, thank God. Matahari's Ascension gives her, slightly less women. And then Asterios, actually, for his first Ascension, takes off his big bull mask, which is, the biggest change that I've seen so far from an Ascension. It's very strange. I noted... Oh, yeah. I finally pulled a Lancer. As the very first thing that I pulled today was I pulled, 2 Lancers. It was very exciting. So now I have a place to spend all of my Lancer EXP, and I'm not just, withering. I was thinking about, how in the story, they talk a lot about how servants never give their true names. They just introduce themselves as their class. They take great pains to hide what their true name is. And every time you summon someone, their true name is the first thing they tell you. Which I guess, like, if you're in a contract with them, maybe it's different and they're just hiding their true names from people outside of the contract. But still, it's very weird to, like, pull somebody and they're like, hello, it's me, Charles Babbage. It's like, okay. I reached main story section 11, which is called Grand Order. Bah, bah, bah. The story stuff that I did today, I got through the first section of the game, basically. I got through the first map. I finished it up. We had the big reveal that the guy that I hated who died at the beginning, which you remember because it was like, 20 minutes ago for you, but it was 2 days ago for me, whose name is apparently, I wrote it down this time, Lev Liner. He's alive. Yay! He's evil. No. He killed the director, whose name is Olga Marie. I remembered it last time and I didn't say it because I didn't feel the need to. He killed the director. It's revealed that he's behind this whole thing. And he's like, ha ha ha, your future, ba da 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 da. We have to fight King Arthur, who is the first gender bend I've noticed. But I don't know all of these figures, so there could be one that I pulled earlier who was gender bent, and I just didn't know. But there's a whole bit that they do about, like, how, that's a woman. It's like, well, she had her reasons for dressing as a man in Camelot. Gotta be a man to be the king. So, King Arthur waifu. What else? Oh, yeah. In that last, big fight, where you have to fight King Arthur, she uses her, there's a cinematic, which was kind of exciting. It was very short, but there's a little cinematic that's just like, like the ones that I like in Limbus Company that are all set in the battle stages, where, Arthur uses her noble phantasm Excalibur and is trying to, raise her sword against Mash, who's using her big old shields to defend against it. Mash this is good because I've never actually used Mash since we had the whole training arc yesterday, where it was like, I don't know how to use my Noble Phantasm, and Guchulain was like, I'll teach you how to use your Noble Phantasm. And so, they had a whole training arc where she learned how to use her Noble Phantasm, and so, but I haven't seen it because I haven't used her. So I got to see it during the little cinematic. It was kind of exciting. It was nice. The final fight music was pretty cool. I think I'm probably one of the, 3 people in this world who cares about the music in Fate Grand Order, a game with so little voice acting that it's, really not worth your time to have the sound on. This is a game that you could totally just play with the sound off, while you're on the subway. Which I guess is something that's appealing about it, but I'm kind of an all-in gacha guy. Not that I'm all-in on the concept of gachas, but when I play a game with, this kind of high production value thing going on, which gachas tend to be, I like to put my headphones in, turn the sound on, do the whole bit. But there was cool music for the final fight, even though I finished it in literally 2 turns, which was fine. After the director dies and Lev Liner does his little speech and then he leaves, we go back to Chaldea, which is kind of disappointing to me, because I didn't really want to go back to Chaldea, because I have mixed feelings about the premise of not the premise of this game. The setting of this game just kind of annoys me sometimes, because it's, really deliberately obtuse, and I think Chaldea is, the most deliberately obtuse thing ever. Big research facility for saving the world, that you wake up in, and it's, ready to have a little historical fantasy time. JK, it's science fiction. It's very weird, and I just don't like it. But it's fine. I figured out the discrepancy between 2018 and 2019. It's that we don't survive 2018, which means we don't make it to 2019. And so people keep saying, there's no 2019, and we die in 2018. And that confuses the hell out of me, because you're saying 2 different dates in order to refer to the same event. And then after I finished that whole thing, animated intro played, and it was kind of nice. I kind of expected this to happen. I really like gacha game animated intros. I'm very weak for them. The music was kind of banging. I really liked seeing all of the characters with one consistent art style. It's so weird to see all of the different pieces of art with different art styles in the same cutscene. And it's like, I kind of dislike it. So it was nice to see a little animated bit where somebody had to draw all of them at once. I was wondering, going through, I didn't write anything down about the advanced quests. Okay, well, I guess I'll just talk about that from memory. But I was wondering while I was, doing some of the stuff that unlocked after I finished that first bit of story, whether or not the game's story is finished by now. Like, it's a live service game that is still going, which means that probably not. But, like, we're on the 7th anniversary of Fate Grand Order. Surely they must have solved the main problem by now. I really don't like these kind of stories that just stretch out and go on forever without any conceivable end. But I don't know. I don't know anything, and I'm not going to get there by the end of this week, so I guess that's just something to ponder. The thing that opened up, there's really only one thing that opened up after that first prologue section of the game finished, and that was advanced quests, which I really enjoyed. I didn't win, because my guys aren't really strong enough, but they are quests where you can't use support units. Gets a thumbs up from me. And you have to use your wits in order to win the fight. And so there were some, little skeletons that had clever little names and that had the letters in them highlighted. One of them had a Q capitalized, an A capitalized, a B capitalized. And what you're supposed to get from that is use quick attacks against one of them, arts attacks against one of them, and buster attacks against one of them. You can also get this by just clicking on them and looking at their status effect, which tells you what to do. I love reading. I've played Limbus Company and Ruina, and so I know how to read. So it's very fun to do a little puzzle fight like that, which actually, wants you to have a difficult time. I didn't win, because it told me that it was level 15 plus, but my level 25 guys were insufficient for reasons. Didn't have enough health, I guess, or not enough leveled skills. I don't know. But I'll go back to it later. It's just kind of nice and clever, and I enjoyed it. And then I started admittedly I got really distracted around the end of today. And I was like, I already finished the main part of this, so I need to play more Fate Grand Order today. And then I was like, yes, this is important archival work that I'm doing, ? But I did the very first little story segment for the next, mission that we're going on. There's 7 singularities on, in history that we need to go solve in order to get to Holy Grail from each of them. This one is Joan of Arc themed. It's the 100 Years War of Dragons in Orleans. It's something around those lines. And the little sort of story that played beforehand had Dr. Roman being here's the situation, da-da-da-da-da. We gotta go save the world in honor of the director. And then we also get to meet Leonardo da Vinci, who you can see in the shop menus before this. And I was fascinating. Hello, Leonardo da Vinci. Gender-bent Leonardo da Vinci, who I didn't mention earlier because I didn't think about it. But when we actually get Leonardo da Vinci introduced to us, Dr. Roman is he, she, it, they, and I was let's go. And then it turns out that this is an extended joke about Leonardo da Vinci, transforming himself to look like the Mona Lisa, because that's his vision of ultimate beauty. And I was great. There is a line that Da Vinci says that's maybe someday the desire to become a beautiful girl will be commonplace. And Dr. Roman is what time period are you from, though? It's just sort of very awful. But, par for the course. So that was today. I guess tomorrow we'll do more of the 100 Years War of Dragons in Orleans, which is not what it's called. And maybe I'll beat that advanced quest, and maybe things will be good. that's all. I guess I'll come back tomorrow for day 4 of Fake Grand Order. See you then.
ようこそダヴィンチちゃんの今日からぼへ。今日ものんびり始めよっか。
Hello, it's day 4 of my little Fate Grand Order adventure here on Soulmates Gone Fishin'. I got some things from the gacha pulls today, that are fascinating, and we'll get to it. But I started off today by doing some more of the story. The 7th anniversary event just ended, so they gave me a bunch of things. I might have said that yesterday. Which is nice, but it also means that I no longer have the ability to do all of the daily quests. So, mostly just story. Today is a day of mostly me having negative observations about Fate. The writing in this game is still really, really awkward. Like, they kept setting up jokes that they expected me to laugh at, and they were just incomprehensible. There's a lot of, like, really messy characterization. Like, Dr. Roman is a character who I liked at first, but they keep messing with his... Like, there is a pretty good running bit where every time he introduces himself to somebody, they're like, you know, they give him a backhanded compliment. Or just call him pathetic. But he like switches back and forth between being like reliable guy at the command desk to inexplicably in the middle of a fight he starts like talking to an internet idol during the story today, and it was like really annoying. It's just, and then like the writing gets worse because almost all of the combat during these story sections is diegetic, so people keep, like, starting to explain something and then getting interrupted by combat, which is, again, really annoying. But today we met Joan of Arc, and entertained her guilt complex about evil Joan of Arc. They call her Jeanne d'Arc, Jeanne d'Arc in the game, but I'm just gonna call her Joan of Arc because it's easier for me. I forgot about this when I was talking earlier about Roman. He says, like, Joan of Arc is having her whole, like, crisis of, you know, like, there's an evil version of me out there, da-da-da-da-da-da. And there's, for some reason, Roman just says, like, for servants, human growth is impossible. It would just be, like, getting stronger as a servant. I don't understand why he felt that. Like, our side keeps saying shit that's, like, makes us sound evil. I'm genuinely kind of compelled by, like, the Joan of Arc's whole thing, presently, which is like, I spent my whole life fighting for France, and evil Joan of Arc is now like, I'm gonna destroy France because they never appreciated da-da-da-da-da-da. It reminds me of Final Fantasy XIV, so I'm kind of fond of it. And then I did some gacha pulls. The banner that they have up right now, which I thought I would pull on for fun, is the featured character is Ilya of Fate Khalid Liner Prisma Ilya fame. And so I decided to do my 10 pull on it just to see, and then I got her immediately, which is kind of nice because she's a 5-star character and I figured she'd be useful to build my whole thing. But I hate it here so much. I won't relate why I'm so sad about Ilya today, because just, like, I was leveling her up, and her level up line is genuinely, like, nauseatingly bad. They can't be trusted. Just awful. There's, like, this connects to things that I was observing about the story, which is that this whole thing feels sort of dripping in sexism in a way that I can't get past. And I had this observation like, when we were meeting, Vlad the Impaler, who is Dracula, obviously, and, I have this written down. Oh, Elizabeth Bathory, who's Carmilla. There's historical basis for both of these, but it is really funny that they, like, can't do fictional characters, so they just have to kind of, you know, do historical equivalents. But she has this, you know, whole thing about, like, beauty. And then we meet Marie Antoinette, who's also like, beauty. And it's like, women. And so I just sort of had this, like, feeling when we were meeting those characters that was like, this isn't great. Which it isn't. But it wasn't necessarily tied to anything specific. And then we had an entire, like, you know, we go with Marie Antoinette and, Mozart and Joan of Arc, and we go off and make camp and stuff. And then, you know, the servants have a conversation while the main character is asleep. And, you know, Joan of Arc and Marie Antoinette immediately start having quote-unquote girl talk, where they talk about, like, you know, at heart aren't we all just maidens in love with a boy? And it's like, wow. I know the Bechdel test is, like, not real, necessarily, but this game just failed the Bechdel test so hard, it's unbelievable. They couldn't get 3 women together in a room without having a conversation about, like, romance. I got really confused, because there's a lot of servants in the story right now who are not part of the, like, 7 that are summoned for the war, but they, you know, they, actually got around to kind of explaining this. I mean, not really, they got around to it a little bit. And then I wrote down in my notes, why am I so deep in the internal logic of this thing? None of this matters. We meet a lot of servants who are referred to mostly by their class names, but then, like, within meeting them for the first time, their true names are revealed for some reason. And it's like, why would you go to the trouble of saying that people don't tell you their true names if everyone you meet is going to tell you their true name? I have been trying to figure out what a rider class servant entails. Some of them are, I guess, historical riders, like horse riders, dragon riders, whatever, but there's no, like, most of them they're not writing anything in the sprite or in the art, so it's just really hard to tell. Like, it feels like they just shove everyone else into rider. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but, I also think it's very funny that, for Archer, this includes everybody with a gun. I used Napoleon as a support unit earlier, and he was classified as an archer carrying a giant cannon. It's really funny. Riders are fast, I guess. This was the conclusion that I came to. I do like, there are a couple of things that I like, in today's adventures. First of all, we were heading towards Orléans, and then we got intercepted by evil Joan of Arc, and then the, like, little paths on the story map, actually, they got rid of the one that was leading from where we were to Orléans, and, like, redirected us toward another place, which is just a really fun bit of, like, you know, storytelling through the UI. It's one of my favorite things. When I pulled Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in the gacha yesterday, I was like, this is a wild look. And, like, I don't dislike it, it's just a lot, and then, like, as soon as you ascend him, he gets even more shit. Like, he gets a big, stupid hat, and then a bunch of, like, he just gets so overwhelming. Every time they put him on screen in the actual story, they never put him on screen alongside anybody else. He just takes up the whole screen himself. It's, like, a lot. But I was using him in battle today as a support unit. They also give me a choice between support units for the first time, because we had multiple servants with us, which is pretty cool. And I actually really like his battle sprite. Like, it looks nice. I like this weird look, as long as it just, like, the contrasting art styles really fucks with me sometimes. Like, I pulled, Lancer Cuchulain, and that's drawn by a different artist than Castor Cuchulain, which is messed up, because that's the same character, and that freaks me out. I was really amused by when we made camp. It's like, oh, we're setting up the summoning circle, and then for some fucking reason, Da Vinci shows up and just, like, gives exposition for 5 minutes, and that is like, okay, bye, and this is never addressed or explained. It's like, okay. She's just talking about, like, the, Pokemon battle week, our rock, paper, scissors is the rock, paper, scissors weakness is different classes. But it's like, why? Why now? Why? Okay. It's very funny. I was wrong last time when I was just calling it the 100 Years War of Dragons. I forgot that it's called the 100 Years War of Evil Dragons. This is hilarious. And I think that's mostly it. Yeah, I think that's everything I wrote down. Yeah, that's basically everything. I pulled some other guys in the, gacha today, other than Ilya. Diarmweed Uadweebna, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, that's the best I could do. Mandricardo, Lancer Cuchulain, William Tell, Hassan of the 100 Personas, Fuma, Evil Wind, Kotaro, and then Iliasfiel von Einsburn. I don't have a particular fondness or dislike for any of these guys, that's just all the guys that I have. God forbid. I wish I could just throw Ilya away. I wish I hadn't done it. It wasn't worth it. And then I did my daily friend summons today, and I got literally nothing. I summoned like 3 times, so I got like 30 pulls and nothing. Cool. Super fun. So, that's what I've been up to today. 3 more days of Fate Grand Order, and then I'll be free. Today is ending on the negative note of, God forbid I be forced to engage with fate. I say, having done this to myself, God forbid that this show have any connection to fate at any point, so that I am made to engage with it. But soon I'll be free. So I'll see you tomorrow.
僕はアマデウス、ボルフガング・アマデウス・モーツァルト。戦闘はともかく、君の人生を飾ることだけは約束しよ
う。Hi, it's me again. Welcome back to Gone Fishin'. It's day 5. I think it's day 5. I didn't actually check that much. Yeah, it's day 5. So, I didn't do main story things today because... and I heard about this yesterday from the, news event thing that popped up when I entered the game, but there's an event on. I didn't realize it would start the day after they announced it, but whatever. Called Arctic Summer World. And so I was really hoping this would happen. Gachas tend to run events, at this kind of pace. So I was hoping that hopefully, during each of these, I'll be able to get at least one event squeezed in there. So I did the start of Fate Grand Order event, Arctic Summer World. And that's all. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. I did a gacha pull, and I got 2 characters. I got Charlotte Corday and I got Arash. And I really haven't used either of them, and I have no feelings about them. First thing is that I guess if you've been running your gacha game for 7 years, the aspect ratio is different in the older stuff. I thought the aspect ratio was a feature and not a bug, or rather that it was jank that they knew about and just decided not to do anything about. It turns out that in the new stuff, they don't have the weird aspect ratio, and it fills up the whole screen. This is kind of nice. For obvious reasons. I have a giant list of things that were said in this event that just were, absurd to me. Because this is, of course, happening at the current point in the main story, and I'm not there yet, so there's a lot of stuff that I just don't understand at all. Several little spoilers. Evil Joan of Arc joins us. What else? Oh, the assassin of Shinjuku, who I got on my first day, is named Yan Ching, and he's hot. That's kind of nice. There's a new director of Chaldea. MASH looks the same. Da Vinci looks different. Whatever. And there were a lot of references at the beginning of this event to, like, previous summer events, which is, I don't know anything about this. List of things that were said during this the bits that I watched, which were just visual novels. I've done 0 battles yet, and I was like, maybe they'll have little mini games and shit, and it'll be fun. No, it's still battles. Maybe there are mini games later. I haven't done the whole event yet, but it's just still battles. But there were 6 different slots of just visual novel before that, which all counted as doing a quest, even though there was nothing except just watching the story, which, I mean, I'm not complaining. But, quote, even with primordial runes, you can only use your independent action for so long. Don't know what this means. Quote, what is it about wearing a swimsuit that just makes you into one crazy bitch of a saint? Didn't expect them to swear. Fun and exciting. This post is about Joan of Arc. This is from Evil Joan of Arc to regular Joan of Arc, is what is it about wearing a swimsuit that just makes you into one crazy bitch of a saint? Why call her a saint? And I don't know. Quote, I will not let anything risque, indecent, immoral, or unacceptable happen on my watch, says Minamoto no Raiku with the worst drawn breasts I've ever seen. It is bad. It's absurd. They kind of, like, make fun of this, where they're like, has she looked in the mirror at her swimsuit? But it's still like, Quote, this is what the video game had written down in the text box, is, quote, parenthetical, absolutely does not buy any of this. Thanks. I guess this is what you can get away with if you're not voice acting anything, is you can just put whatever shit you want in those text boxes. And, quote, this area operates under unique rules, much like reality marbles. The fuck is a reality? Okay. Whatever you say. There was a magical girl transformation sequence into a beach outfit, which is, of course, a swimsuit spirit origin. There's a lot of talking about spirit origins, and that's your outfit, or Spiritron dress. It's not clear what the difference between those two things are. And that's your outfit, and so they were turning everybody into a swimsuit spirit origin, which sometimes changed their class. For the beginning of this event, I was quickly, corrected on this, but there were only women, and it was women there were some women with enormous breasts, and that's all there is to say on the matter. I do like Erice, E-R-I-C-E. She has a nice art style. I was, like, really charmed. Apparently, after 7 years of summer events, they've gotten used to this shit, and canonically people change into their, quote, indecent swimsuits during summer. Blech. Everyone's, like, used to putting on their little swimsuit outfits, and some of them are like, oh, too risque. Which, fuck off, but whatever. There are men. When we put together our little squad to go investigate the singularity that's happening, I will not bother to explain the plot of this event to you. The point is, it's summer. There were a bunch of hot men, I'll admit it, such as Ashiya Domon, which I love him. He's some kind of problem, I don't know why, but Ashiya Domon has a summer outfit now, and it has morning glories strewn across it, which have eyes in the center. And that, I wrote down, is transition goals. Also, he looks like a freak. He has, like, he smiles very badly with too many teeth, and he has, like, claw hands. It's awesome. However, very swiftly he changed his outfit to no longer have the eye flowers on it, and that's a fucking federal crime. There's a lot of NPCs in this event who I don't know, who are not servants. Shout out to the new director, who seems like a loser. And somebody in the control room. There's just like, what I guess this means is that the story hasn't ended after 7 years. You know, which I guess I could have expected. It's kind of what I was saying that I expected. It's just that there's been a lot of twists and turns along the way. I can see that, like, the Chaldea base is now located in some kind of cave. They talked about something like something sea that they're on. You know, lots of things have changed, I guess, and there's new dramas. But I wouldn't know anything about this, because 1 week is not long enough to catch up on the story of Fate Grand Order, and I am not really interested in doing so. Which is a bad perspective to come at this from if I'm doing, you know, earnest research, but I'm trying my best. It's just not good. I already said Yanqing is hot. But he is hot. They, like, you know, he went from his little sleeveless vest to an open sleeveless vest, and so now he's got, you know, his chest tattoos on show, and I'm like, yeah, hot. There's a little girl who I thought was a little boy, but it's a little girl, with a cute dog. I think it's a service, I mean, it has a service dog vest, maybe it's just a working dog. And her outfit is, like, so normal. It made me so happy. She's just, like, wearing a little summer hoodie. She's got a little megaphone and a cap. It's adorable. I learned today that 7 p.m. Central is daily rollover, because I was hanging out with friends this morning and not obsessively doing my gacha homework, so I did it in the evening today. And so I guess I don't have my free 10 pool for tomorrow, but that's fine. I pulled on the Ashia Domon banner because I want to see him. Even though I should be pulling on the other one, because that one's Ashia Domon and Assassin of Shinjuku. And I already have Yanqing, and so I don't, like, need to pull on that banner as much as I need to pull on the other one. But the other one does not interest me, and Ashia Domon does. Sometimes I think to myself, like, am I as bisexual as I think I am? Or do I have a strong preference either way? And then it just, like, you know, I'm reminded that I am as bisexual as I think I am, because it just, like, totally depends on the circumstances and who I'm looking at, because, oh boy. Again, not bothering to explain to you the plot of this event, but we did, you know, meet an alternate reality version of Merlin, and then cut away to normal Merlin, who just briefly did a little bit of exposition where he was like, this is everyone's favorite piece of world building, multiverse theory. And I was like, why are you doing this? And then she was like, you know, we need sales in our amusement park, and the customers are animals, and the first animals that showed up, I know they're not stock photos of polar bears, but they did straight up look like stock photos of polar bears. Holy shit. Photorealistically drawn polar bears. And that was wild. I do think the writing is more charming in general in this new stuff. It's still kind of awkward. It's still, like, sexism. But, you know, it's got its charms. It's like, I think it's just sort of better composed than the old stuff naturally. It kind of sucks to be exposed to only the old stuff, which is part of why I was hoping an event would come on. So I think it redeems this extremely convoluted bullshit that Fate is doing, which is also, like, deeply, deeply troubling emotionally. No. But is it a little bit more fun to play through than the regular story? Yes, and that's why I'm doing this. Also, they keep, like, you know, teasing that, I guess there's old swimsuit versions of characters, and then there's new ones released for this event. not the same characters, but different characters getting their swimsuits for the first time. And they keep teasing them by just giving the silhouettes, and admittedly, as a fan of character design and looking at characters in gacha games, this is really fun to me. I really enjoy when they just, like, pull back the curtain on the silhouette and show somebody else in a swimsuit. That usually looks fine. There's only a couple of swimsuits that I've been like, there's a lot of retching noises in this section. Sorry. It's just me sticking out my tongue, but it sounds bad. But I guess that's all for today, and I'll do more of it tomorrow. I didn't do a lot today, because I thought that it was just going to be one event quest, but then it opened up into a whole event area, and I'm afraid that it is going to be long as fuck. So it's probably going to be the rest of Gone Fishin' for this week is going to be doing this little summer event, which I think will be pretty fun. Probably, more entertaining than continuing on with the saga of Joan of Arc and evil Joan of Arc. So we'll see. But until then, more Arctic Summer Worlds tomorrow. See you then.
お初にお目にかかります。節操、神名を芦屋道満と申す法師にて陰陽師。
Welcome back to Soulmates Gone Fishin'. It's day 6, the penultimate day of my journey with Fate Grand Order. A gacha game which I don't think is very good. It's more event stuff today. I am actually a little bit enthusiastic about this because the event stuff, as I discovered, actually unlocks day by day, which means I won't get to the end of it by the end of this, and I probably won't get to the end of it in general, because I'm probably going to not keep Fate Grand Order on my phone. But, I will have a new daily thing to do, which is always fun, and it makes my gacha homework a little bit simpler, which I appreciate, because I've just been doing 3 hours every day, and it's nice to have a little goal. I did do some gacha pulls this morning. I only did one, actually. I just did a friend summon, and I did get something interesting, which was my first servant of the alter ego class. There are classes outside of the usual 7. They're called things like alter ego and pretender and ruler, and I don't pretend to know all of them. It's very confusing why they would do this to me. But I think alter ego is the class that, evil Joan of Arc is, for example, and represents one of the, evil versions of servants that are the cause of a singularity, possibly? Because I got Shufu, who had the longest introduction ever, and her introduction started with it's me, Shufu, wait, is this Chaldea? Do you hate me? And so I think she was probably a villain in some part of the story. When I was looking at details for the event, I didn't write this down, but it's occurring to me now. When I was looking at details for the event, and how the progression worked and everything, because I was trying to figure stuff out and I clicked through the tutorial too fast, and I couldn't figure out how to pull it up again. It said, this parts of the story may contain spoilers for part 2, and I was like, I'm not sure what part 2 means, but it must mean, a segment of the main story. But I'm not sure what the demarcation is between part 1 and part 2, and how long it took to finish part 1 and move on to part 2. Gacha games are weird, and gacha stories are long, and this is just sort of fascinating to me. It certainly does contain spoilers for part 2, but I don't know what part 2 means. I am generally, I think I said this yesterday, I'm generally enjoying the event story. It's, it's kind of charming. I will say I'm kind of unamused by the fact that, I also said this yesterday, I'm unamused by the fact that, everything that happens in this game is I wonder why there are problems. Let's go around all the areas and fix their problems. And it's well, why are there problems here? Well, there's something we need to fight, obviously, because that's the only mechanic in Fate Grand Order. And it's oh, okay. we're not even going to pretend that there's anything else that we can do. This is not like a Fate Grand Order specific problem. It's, I think most gacha games are just the thing that they are. Mahjong Soul is just Mahjong, other gacha games are just fighting. But it is just, like, very weird, to do this whole thing where it's like, well, we need to figure out what's keeping customers away from your place, and it's like, monsters. It's always monsters. This event, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this event focuses on some characters called the Valkyries, who I haven't met, and apparently they're like a group of 3 sisters who are all the same unit, but I don't know, because I don't have them. And it just kind of freaks me out. Like, I know that their whole thing is that they're the same, but, like, their sprites are all, like, drawn the exact same, but with different faces and hairstyles. It freaks me out. Like, there's just, like, 3 of the same sprite on screen. I can't tell the difference between them because they look very, very similar, and it's, like, so weird, and they all have the exact same outfit and the exact same pose. It's just, like, so strange. I did find very funny when we went to go see what the source of the monster was. It was caused by a bunch of, other servants. All of them Lancer class, except for one who was an alter ego for some reason. I wouldn't expect to know. And apparently something is previously established that this specific group of 5 servants is called the Backspear Boys, and I did find this very funny. They do also do some, like, really fun puppeteering with the sprites and the sound effects. Like, there's a really kind of fun, like, one of the characters is trying to sneak away from the scene because she's been caught out for, being a scoundrel, and somebody else, drags her back on screen, and she's, like, her sprite is, like, inching off to the left, and then the other sprite comes up next to her, and there's a little dragging sound as they both come back towards the center of the screen. It's kind of nice. They don't do anything like this in the regular story, which I guess is fine, because this is a 7-year-old game, and they improve over time. But still, I'm just experiencing the average user experience, and it's a lot, is my point. For some reason, 2 of the people who are in this little group, Diarmuid and Bazette, are referred to at one point. They, like, speak in unison, and the little box that tells you their name says parent and child, ? Which is a little funny. I'm not sure exactly what that gag is supposed to be, but it's kind of funny. At the end of this little first segment that I did, there was an ominous appearance by a servant who is the Count of Monte Cristo, and of course this servant was just referred to as the Count of Monte Cristo, which, fictional character beam. I was doing a bunch of free quests in order to, like, the way that this event works, apparently, is, you get through the story part of each, day, and then you unlock all the free quests in the areas that you've just been through. And you just, you go through and you do the free quests, and they give you event currency in various forms, which you can use to upgrade the facilities which you have just been through. 'Cause it's like an amusement park. And so you collect those materials, you upgrade the facilities. I will honestly probably log on later today and try and, like, finish the stuff that this walkthrough I'm following tells me to have done by the end of day today, even though I'm not going to finish this event. Just because, I just want to know. And it's not like it's the worst experience in the world to just go through and do these quests over and over. There's a first clear reward, and the walkthrough recommends which one you should do to get the materials you need. And then as you upgrade the facilities and as you do free quests, that's how you get visitor points, and you need a certain amount of visitor points to unlock the next area for the next day. And so that's basically how it works. You can also use the event materials to exchange for, like, normal gacha stuff, like a new craft essence that if you equip it, it gives you extra event materials, or, EXP stuff, or skill up materials, or whatever you might need. I was doing all these free quests, and I was just looking at the enemies that we were fighting, and we were fighting a bunch of lizards, and the lizards were the caster class, and I just wrote down in my notes, how can the lizards be casters? How can a parasol be hi-fi? Which is a very stupid Peanuts reference. And then I moved on to the next area, which I did not write basically anything down about. I was mostly just kind of like sitting there and genuinely enjoying the story for the most part. It was kind of compelling. There was a whole bit with the Argonauts, and like it's all nautically themed. And it features the character whose design I liked at the beginning of this event, Aris, who still looks good in her summer outfit, but I do want to point out one visual detail with it, which is that she just has an extremely useless ice cream floaty on one arm. It's just like a ring, just like an inflatable ring. It's not big, you couldn't float with it, she just has ice cream on there. Why? This is a decoration. She's running this little marine-themed part of the theme park, and, you know, going around showing us all the attractions, and they're all not quite right, and there's a whole thing with Captain Nemo, and Captain Nemo is several people, and I'm not sure why, because I haven't met Captain Nemo, and it's all a lot. But, you know, it was generally enjoyable. The, you know, part of the thing where we are obligated to fight monsters was not quite as bad as usual, because it was like, oh, we have to fight the monsters in the context of this little attraction that you're doing, where you do a little event where you fight some octopuses in the middle of the, you know, marine ride that you're having. That was kind of fun. I got to use the new characters that they introduced during this event, the new Valkyries, who all look exactly the same as the old Valkyries, but with different faces and different hair. There was a little set formation thing, and I had to use all three of them instead of any of my normal units. And so that was, you know, that was alright. Weird, but alright. And then I was done. It was, you know, this is not like a thing. I'm finding that unlike the first, you know, part of this adventure that I've gone on by playing this video game, I kind of had to drag myself through the beginning of this, because it's just like a lot of unexplained stuff and not good writing and a generally kind of uninteresting battle system. And this event, you know, is at least entertaining enough that I was not literally falling asleep in the middle of it. And so I will give it credit for that. Even though, like, from what I can tell of, of this, it seems very convoluted. And I don't love the way any of this is written, particularly. But it's, like, adequate. And I'll give it that. And I'll also give it that I am biased against Fate. I just don't think it's good. So, you know, this event is going on for 20 days, so I don't think when this episode releases, it will still be going on. Unfortunately, I think when this episode releases, it'll be, like, the beginning of August, and so, it should be, like, 2.5 weeks from now. I'm recording this in the middle of July. So it probably won't be going on by then. But, you know, you can watch a playthrough of it or something. It's just, I recommend experiencing it in some form and just, like, seeing what I'm talking about, which is more than I would say for most of this. So that's nice. Maybe I'll link to it in the show notes. When I hear this while I'm editing, I'll remember whether or not I went to link to it in the show notes. Yeah, and then tomorrow I'll do another day of the event, and then we'll, you know, collect final thoughts, and, it'll be a fun time. And I'll see you then.
トリトンエンジンスタート。照準よろし。計算完了。ほらぶん回すぜ。艦内設備ロック。プリンはいいかしら。許可する。海を荒らす者をキャプテンネモは許さない。行くぞ。グレートラム。ノーチラス。
Hello, welcome. It is day 7, the final day of Gone Fishin's adventure into the world of Fate Grand Order. I am happy to be done. We're all happy to be done. No one wants to hear me talk about a game I don't like for too long, so I think I've kept the length of this episode to a pretty reasonable degree. notes for day 7. So, part of the thing about this, like, anniversary event, which I've been talking about, which the anniversary's passed now and it's over, but they did do, like, a 7-day anniversary login campaign. And, like, you know, I complained near the beginning about the, like, difficulty of getting, gacha currency, but they gave me so much stuff, which is, like, so funny to me. And so they gave me a ton of polls today, which means that I get to do a lot of polls. And I'm gonna do one of those 10 polls, as a cap-off to this, adventure. We'll do one of those 10 polls actually on the podcast and see how the audio picks that up. This is good because I have someone I'm actually excited about getting currently, which is a Shiadoman, and I haven't gotten him yet, and so I'm hoping and praying that I can get an Shiadoman, and if I don't, then I guess we all just leave disappointed. So, day 3 of this event claims to be the final, like, or the penultimate day of this event. I, for once, know this isn't true, both because the walkthrough I'm following, you know, has information from the Japanese version, which is ahead in content, and because on the map you can see there's, like, 2 other areas we haven't gone to yet, other than the demonic ice castle, which is where we're trying to go to. So I know that we're not done yet, but it certainly claims to be. This is, Minamoto no Raiko's area, which is, like, I was kind of dreading it, because I was like, there's so many just sort of bad-looking women. Minamoto no Raiko is one of them, but then she also has, like, an attendant who's terrible. It was fine. I did have to do a bunch of, I lied last time, I did not end up doing a bunch of, you know, free quest grinding off of, my usual, prepared gacha homework time, so I did it, you know, today. And so I did a bunch of free quests, to start today, and, there's a guy in one of the free quests. All of the, like, servants in these are not named normal things. They're not, like, named their actual names. They all have, like, joke names. And I haven't heard any that are, like, particularly interesting to me, except for this guy whose name is Punching Just Makes Them More Clingier. More clingier? Anyway, I understand nothing. I don't even understand why he's called that. I don't know who we're fighting, because I don't know his name, and I don't know why he's named that, so I don't understand. I do appreciate, that the different areas do give you little rewards for upgrading them. You know, not only do you get visitor points, and more visitor points the more you've upgraded them, which you need to progress to the next area, you also get little, like, the first area gives you currency. It generates it over, you know, a 16-hour span or whatever, and you can collect it. And the second area gives you EXP, which is really nice, because I'm, poor, and a baby, and so I don't actually have that much EXP. And so it was very, very nice to have a bunch of EXP to upgrade my guys, considering the difficulty of this event is wildly inconsistent. I think they generally have been keeping it, like, you know, beginner-friendly, but there are some quests that are like, time to do some level 40, guys, and I'm like, okay, you better hope that the, you know, level 90 support character you gave me to do this fight with is good enough to solo them, because my guys are only level 25. There is, there are 2, very good, gags. Well, there's several very good gags, actually, for this part. I actually kind of enjoyed it very much, other than having to look at the bad women. Very good gag at the beginning where Aris, starts talking and she gets so long and rambly that instead of putting a text box under her and just, like, scrolling it really fast, they put the text behind her, like, on top of the background, but behind her sprite, and so it's partially obscured, and also she has all the room in the world. It's actually very funny. I did just put in my notes, oh god, Raiko. Yeah, so true. Past Ash. I also really enjoyed, There's a gag in which Sei Shogunan gives everyone nicknames, which they occasionally have to, like, clarify using parentheticals in the text, which is really awkward. But instead of doing that, this time there's a very good gag in which someone was like, hey, don't just give people nicknames without their consent, and everyone's nameplates above their text boxes changed to Sei Shogunan's nicknames for them, which was very cute. It lasted a weirdly long time. Piece of dialogue I really enjoyed, two pieces of dialogue I really enjoyed. Quote, I love a good summer adventure, open parentheses, read, intense training regimen, close parentheses, exclamation point. And then, why'd you even bother throwing that parenthetical in? I love a piece of punctuation that is, diegetic to the, text for no reason. I also, noted before this other one that Ashiya takes off his awesome, like, robe that I love, even though it doesn't have the eye flowers on it anymore. He takes off his awesome robe and puts on, like, what he calls his, quote, polar bear mode, which is just like an open button-up shirt. And he has, like, a 10-pack, you know, like, gotcha, men. This has no impact on his attractiveness. I like him better in his drapey robe, yukata or kimono or whatever have you call it. But he has a good piece of dialogue in which he goes, and Yanshin goes, don't think I didn't notice that stray N. Which is very funny. I didn't notice it at first, so I had to go back in the log and look at it, and I was like, oh yeah, instead of going he's sure to go because he's very nervous about interacting with Minamoto no Raiko. I did do a couple gotcha summons before this. I didn't do them on the Ashiya banner because I didn't want to pull him before live, but I realized later that I could have just done multiple summons live. But that would take too long. You get to see exactly how long the summons are in this game. I'm not going to speed them up. And you're going to see exactly how sort of irritating this is to me. But I did pull... I went for the other summon that I wasn't excited about, with Lady Avalon and Gareth, and I did pull Lady Avalon. I also pulled Hassan of the Serenity, Robin Hood, and Jinke. Anyone who is featured even briefly in the event as a, like, cameo, has an event bonus, which is very funny. So while I was going through this event area, there's like I was looking at my servants earlier because I was setting them for support purposes, and I was like, why does Charles Babbage have a, I haven't seen him yet, and also it's yesterday, so, like, it's not like that part of the story is unlocked yet, and it turns out that he appears for about 2 seconds in the middle of this story to talk about the steam baths, so that qualifies you for an event bonus. Good job, buddy. Okay. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna do these gotcha pulls, and then we're gonna close out the episode in a way that I am very excited about personally, and I feel very clever. And then, I have a little teaser for the next episode that I'll be working on. Of course, you have to wait for Fate Grand Order to load. Here's the load time on this video game. We'll see how much I can get the audio to show up on Audacity. Loading. There we go. Oh, that's not very... There we go. Yeah, this is adequate. Okay, so that's me going through the main menu. And then... Menu? Summon. Yes, I know I have a lot of summons built up that I'm not using right now. I'm only doing one of them presently. And then Ashiya right up. Show me the money. Oh, something I haven't actually talked about in this game yet is that if you do a 10 pull, it's actually an 11 pull. So I guess this is kind of... I mean, they do have a guarantee of, like, a certain amount of stuff. That's our first pull. Phantasmal Species Craft Essence. Okay. It's gonna go like this. Formal craft essence. That's a 5-star at least. That's kind of nice. I didn't have that one before. But they do have like a 4-star guarantee kind of thing. I don't know exactly what the details of it are. Here's a servant. Oh, it's Fergus MacRoish. Literally the first guy I ever pulled. Fun. If you pull duplicates, you can use them to upgrade their Noble Phantasm. But the 11 pull is also their version of, you know, giving you some guarantees. Like giving you some bonuses for doing a 10 pull. There's Gaius Julius Caesar. I also already have him. I might actually already have his Noble Phantasm upgraded all the way, in which case I'll just have to use him as an EXP material, which is very funny. The Hello Arctic craft essence. That seems like an event craft essence. Another one. Literally another Hello Arctic. They refuse to give me anything interesting. Okay, here's another character. It's a Lancer. It's Yarmwood Wa Dweebna. That's Yarmwood Wa Dweebna. That's my closest approximation of how to pronounce that name. Already have him. Another character. This one's a rider. It's Boudica. I hate her. And I already have her. Lots of 3 stars. This is kind of, I mean, when you do a pull on the actual proper banners, Ruined Church Craft Essence. When you do a pull on the actual proper banners, you don't get a lot of 1 and 2 star stuff. You must get 3-star and up stuff. But there's still no guarantee it's going to be any good. Inverted Moon of the Heavens Craft Essence. Already have that. Give me something interesting. Gentle Affection Craft Essence. No. No, literally nothing interesting. Well, that sucked. I do have another pull. We'll do another pull and I'll make this one go fast. I can skip it. I can skip through the boring stuff by just tapping. Budding Angler, Craft Essence, a Caster, a Vesperon. I don't have him, but he's not interesting. Budding Angler. Caster Asclepius! I don't have him, but he's a major part of this event, which is kind of nice. Imaginary Number Attribute Craft Essence. Fun. And, okay. This is, them reading their little bio. And then Asclepius. He's very funny. He does look very different in this default look than he does in his summer outfit, which I had briefly suspected might actually be his normal outfit. But no, it clearly is his summer outfit. It's just that his summer outfit is like a hoodie, which is kind of funny. Okay, well, not the worst. I didn't get my beloved Ashia Domon, but that's Fate Grand Order for you. I've been too lucky on the past banners anyway, pulling the, raid up characters very quickly. So, the pity thing that they have for this, they have, the pity they have is if you pull like 300 times and you don't get the raid up character, you're guaranteed it. Which is so many. And these do not last that long, and you do not get that much currency. It is like, is wild to me. I don't know how people live like this. Okay. Well, that is the conclusion of my adventure with Fate Grand Order. It's kind of a shame to stop it right in the middle of this event, but I did know this would happen. And I'm not going to finish this event because I didn't enjoy playing this video game that much. But entertain me, occasionally. As we always do, it's time to give this game a rating. And of course, as we always do, we're going to use the famous cake scale, also known as the content addictiveness Kinsey evaluation. So, in a dig on Ivy, or maybe just to make Ivy happy, it can be both, I've decided to call numbers the cake scale, which is the thing that we're not allowed to call it. I worked very hard to make sure that we had, 3 good things that we could rate this thing on. I thought about doing something other than Kinsey, but I figured that we had to stick to the spirit of soulmates and do a Kinsey scale bit. So we're going to rate this game on a 0-indexed scale from 0 to 6 on its content, its addictiveness, and its Kinsey scale number. This is just me talking to myself about this, because I don't personally have a guest. So it's a different vibe than usual. But as for the content in this game, again, like normal numbers, these kind of criteria are slightly ill-defined. I refuse to kind of give them an exact definition, but content, this game certainly has a lot of it. 7 years of stuff will entertain you for quite a while, just the main story. But the, experience of playing through the content is, I didn't enjoy it. It seems like the bulk of the content, or at least, the stuff that you get access to as a newcomer is, not super well written, and, the battle system is kind of a triviality, and your ability to make it to high-end content quickly, which is a lot of what people are looking for if they're gamers, going into this to have a gamer experience, seems limited. Given I didn't try very hard, I could have skipped more story, but, it seems like it's gonna be a while before you get to do, quote-unquote high-end stuff. So for content, I would rate this game, for the amount of content is high, but the enjoyableness of that content is pretty low. So we're gonna give it, one of my favorite numbers to give anything on this podcast, which is a 2. It's a content of 2. As for its addictiveness, I have to admit I'm not an expert in the addictiveness of gacha games. I play a lot of gacha games. I am almost never compelled to spend money on them, so they don't really have the addictive quality that they do for other people, to me, because I'm a special boy, but the amount to which I wanted to, sit and do nothing but play Fate Grand Order, which just happened to me with other gacha games, I got into Ensemble Stars, and that was, all I did for a week, extremely low. I generally wanted to stop playing Fate Grand Order as quickly as possible. I wasn't really entertained by any of the battles. There was nothing that was I've gotta come back and find out what happens in the story. The event was a little bit entertaining. I did appreciate the, you gotta log in to claim your rewards, from your profits from the areas. But, the experience of grinding for it was not that fun, especially given the free quests were higher level than I personally could handle, and so I just had to depend on other people's over-leveled support characters, which is not fun. So in terms of addictiveness, I'm gonna give this one, a 1. Not even the pulls are that fun. It's not a 0. I did find myself coming back to it, and sucked into it when I was playing the actual event, but it is, pretty low overall. The Kinsey scale number. Now this is an interesting one, because there's a secret second reason why I picked a female character for this game. And you can switch your gender at any time, which brings the Kinsey scale number up. But that was to see, like, what the gacha wife experience was like when everyone was referring to Master as she. Which, you know, I find that usually your gender is prescribed in these games. And so it was kind of interesting to have the chance to be, like, you know, equally courted by your waifus and husband. Why did I pronounce it like that? Your husbandos. You know, as whatever gender you pleased. But I would say the degree to which the men were, like, flirting with me was lower than the degree to which the women were flirting with me. The men were not, like, fighting over me. The women absolutely were, because this is a male gaze game. Which incidentally brings the Kinsey scale up, because you get the choice between what gender you want to be. One could also argue this has no impact on the Kinsey scale number, because if you're a man, the men don't fight over you. But, you know, there was deep bisexual appeal to Fate Grand Order. Even if I found most of the art to look bad, there was deep bisexual appeal in that, you know, there were a pretty equal amount, not an equal amount, more women than men, but a pretty equal amount of, you know, women and men who wanted to tend to your every need and desire. So this is 3 behavior by nature. And part of this is because I think there are more, you know, you have to gender bend men into women in order to get a relatively equal balance of men and women in this game. There's just sort of more male, legendary and historical and divine figures to pull from. And, you know, this happens. This happens in Limbus Company. Almost all of the women in Limbus Company are gender-bent men. But, you know, it is, like, as much as I would like to say this game is straighter than not, if only because it's very male gaze focused, I think it has enough deep bisexual appeal that I'm comfortable giving it a 3. Just a solid 3. If you want to get granular, it would be like a 2.7, but we don't get granular here, so it's a 3. So our cake scale for this game, for Fate Grand Order, in the year of our Lord 2024, is 213, which, I'm gonna check me and Ivy's DMs, because we're very, very neurotic about this, is a score that we have never given out. Congratulations. I just like to know. Ivy likes to know, and so, you know, I do this for her. And that's it. That's all I have to say about Fate Grand Order. It wasn't a good experience, but it was certainly an interesting experience, and I'm sorry that it's the first one that we're doing, and I promise that there are more happy times to come. Fate Grand Order is just sort of a good baseline for the gacha experience, I think. And I do like the connection that it inadvertently has to our podcast being a Fate property. It was really interesting to come back to it with more knowledge of what Fate is like, even though my knowledge of what Fate is like is based on, like, a 2-hour movie that I understood very little of. I sort of knew even just slightly more terminology, and it made it more accessible to me. I would say that the claim on the App Store that this is a decent entry into the Fate series is wrong. It was not a decent entry into the Fate series when I played it years ago, and it remains not that way now. It's a fascinating piece of gacha history. It's a bad piece of gacha history. And I will be very interested to see how the games which I'm playing going forward compare to this, as it is kind of a base, part of the genre. And what we are playing next, well, on a usual episode we would hit a random button, and then me and Ivy would react to it without saying what it was. But I have a set order for these, obviously, and I don't have a guest like we do on the Great Gacha World Tour to, give you a basic reaction, but I will give you a little teaser, and if anyone can figure out what it is, I'll be very, very impressed with you. Which is to say that the next game that we're playing is one that stimulates all of the senses. And with that, it's time for Soulmates Gone Fishin' to paddle its boat out to the next fishing hole. And I'll see you on the next stop on my voyage. Without further ado, bye!
いよいよオリュンポスに上陸ですね。でも私はまだサーバントとしての霊気を発揮できてはいません。クリプター、ロストベルト、歴史に排斥された敗者たち。私たちの正義は彼らにとっては残酷な特権でした。私は彼らから未来を奪う以上、ちゃんと自分の結論を持たないといけないのに。